Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So my name is Nikita and I have lived and worked in the UK for about 2 years now, and I make videos related to life in the UK, student life, but also work related stuff. So if you are interested in this content, do not forget to subscribe. But for those of you who are interested in today's video, we will be discussing the top 5 things for you to do as soon as you land in the UK or just before it. So if you are somebody who is coming into the UK as an international student in September or January's intake, or if you are somebody who is coming to the UK on a work visa like many of us do, then this video is for you. But before we move ahead, please remember that if you haven't already followed me on Instagram, my handle is physiotherapy in UK, and now's your turn to do so because I post daily updates about life in the UK, working as a healthcare professional, and also some really helpful tips for you to settle down, clear interviews, and land a wonderful job. So if you are interested in it, do not forget to follow me on Instagram, guys. But let's dive into the content for today's video. So the first thing that you need to do when you land into the UK is find yourself a SIM card. Now, many of y'all would have already thought about using roaming packs while you come from India, Pakistan, or Bangladesh into the UK and use these international roaming packs. And my advice to you would be, do not waste your money on this. What you can do is once you land in the UK, you can buy yourself a SIM card. Now, again, I know some people will make the mistake of buying the SIM card at the airport. So at Heathrow Airport, for example. But please remember, this is again a mistake that many of y'all will do, which I would advise you not to, simply because the SIM cards at the Heathrow Airport are very expensive and they're going to cost you a bomb. What you can do alternatively is as soon as you leave the airport, or maybe when you sort of reach your accommodation, you can go around, walk around into the local convenience store, and there you will find these SIM cards. They are usually very cheap. You might get them for about £1 or £2, or for example, you might even be able to order these SIM cards home for free of charge. The two most recommended companies that I personally used and will continue to recommend to all of you are Leica and Lebara. Lebara is the SIM card that I'm using at the minute. It runs on the same network as Vodafone. Now, obviously, the reason why I recommend Lebara is that because it is one of the cheapest SIM card companies that I am aware about in the UK. The pack that I currently use is the £5 pack, which gives me nearly 5 GB of data free per month. Along with that, I have about 100 international minutes to call home. And other than that, I have unlimited talking, I think, to all of the numbers in the UK, and unlimited text to all of the numbers in the UK. So if you are interested in it, please do not forget to check out the link in the caption below, because there is exactly where you'll find this amazing SIM card company called Lebara. Now, I know some of y'all would say, Nikita, isn't 5 GB too less? I mean, you have nearly 1.5 to 2 GB for a day in India. And I think the answer is yes, it is less. But do remember that wherever you go in the UK, whether it's in the Wi-Fi or even if it's in the sort of intercity trains or cafes or in your offices, you will always have Wi-Fi. So you are not really ending up using your own data packs within these places. It is usually that you're using your data while you're traveling and things like that. So I would always advise you to try and go for the cheapest data pack that you can find, provided that you are using your data wisely. Now, again, if you are somebody who needs a lot of data, do consider finding another company or going for one of the more expensive plans on Lebara. Another question that I know would pop up in many people's heads is, what is the process? Do I need to give my documents? And the answer is no. The process is fairly easy, so do not be stressed about it. All you need to do is go ahead and ask them to give you a SIM card. So do not be stressed about it. It's pretty easy and straightforward. Now, the second thing that I feel is really important and I would like to touch upon is booking your accommodation. Now, again, if you are somebody who is an international student who's coming in the UK in 2023's intake or 2024 Jan's intake, I would advise you to book your accommodation through Amber Students. The reason is it's fairly easy to find homes or find a room for yourself in a location which is near the colleges or the university's vicinity, but also you do not need to be worried about paying all of the additional utility bills, which include your electricity, Wi-Fi, and so many other costs. When you pay your Amber Students, it's obviously like a one-stop shop, so you do not need to be worried about all of these bills. It's all sort of considered within your rent. You will find accommodation for as cheap as nearly 80 to 90 pounds a week to as expensive as whatever amount you are ready to pay for the luxury that you can afford. However, do remember that they also come with some really great facilities. So if you are a student who is looking to move into another city in the UK, or if you are an international student who's coming into the UK, I would recommend Amber Students for you. The reason I also recommend Amber students is because when you are coming in as a student, what you usually need is a UK guarantor to sort of get an accommodation. Now, honestly, it's really hard for somebody who doesn't have family in the UK to find a guarantor, and Amber students does not ask you for this. So again, if you are a student planning to come into the UK, or if you are planning to move cities to find yourself a place closer to your university, I would definitely recommend Amber students for all of you. Now, again, for those of y'all who are on work visas or who are looking to come into the UK on the health and care worker visa or a skilled worker visa, do not worry, I've not forgotten you guys. For those of you who are looking for accommodation, there are several options for y'all. You can obviously find accommodation through private landlords, through spare rooms. But also, if you want to go through estates or to sort of the agencies, there are options such as Rightmove and Zoopla. There have been several scams that are going around for people who are obviously looking through spare rooms and apps like that. The difficulty is obviously people from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh feel that they want to find cheap accommodation and are willing to put the money within a landlord's account without even verifying the location or maybe even getting the contract. Therefore, my recommendation is you either try and go through agency so that you are assured that this is a legit place and there is a specific room or a specific house available for you all. But the second thing is that even if you are doing it through a landlord, I would always recommend that if you know somebody in the UK, please get them to go to this place to verify that this place really exists and they are offering a room out for rent or for, sort of letting out. And the second thing you can do is maybe ask for a contract where you have all of the legally binding details of this person in the form of a contract before you transfer the money for accommodation in the UK. Now, the third thing that I want to advise all of you all to do, and please guys, this is something that you do not want to forget, is to collect your BRP. So BRP stands for Biometric Residence Permit. Now, when you make a visa application, they will ask you for which is your nearest post office from where you will be asked to collect your BRP. If you are somebody who is obviously knowing the location that you're going to be working in or the university's location, I would say Google the nearest post office to that and use that post office as the address from where you need to collect your BRP. Now, why is the BRP important? So the BRP is actually more like your sort of proof of who you are, what is your work visa, how many hours you are allowed to work for. The BRP almost acts as an ID proof. So whether you want to open a bank account or you want to even maybe go for your driving license test or even to sort of rent an accommodation in the UK, it is most likely they will ask you for some sort of ID and you can either choose to show them your passport or your BRP. So I would recommend collecting your BRP. Now always remember that there is a fixed number of days within which you are asked to collect your BRP. So always make sure that you have collected your BRP from the nearest post office that you have mentioned on your visa within the few designated days that are allocated to you. If you do not collect it, there might be some issues that arise, and therefore it's highly recommended, and I personally recommend that you collect your BRP within the stipulated days only. Now, the next most important thing for you to do when you come into the UK is register with a GP. So GP stands for General Practitioner. So when you are in the UK, what you need to do is Google your nearest GP or go on the NHS website, and I'll leave the link for that in the description below again, and find yourself the nearest GP based on your postcode. Once you've done that, what is advisable for you to do is ring up the GP and ask to be registered with them. Now, there are two ways to go around it, and the GP will advise you further on what's the best way. You can either ask them to fill up the form for you, which might be an online form, which you can do yourself. So fill up an online form and you might get registered directly. Or the second thing that they might ask you to do is actually come into the GP, collect a physical form, fill in all of your details and submit it at the receptionist. Now, why is this important? So for example, in India, whenever we are sick, we would go to our nearest local doctor and get all of our medication sorted out. In the UK, this is not a possibility. So for you to be treated, you need to be registered with a local GP. This local GP is the doctor or the sort of medical service around you, which is responsible for your health and care. So if you are unwell or if you need to be issued some antibiotics or some medication, you need to go to the GP, tell your problem to them, explain it to them, and then the GP, that is the doctor in the medical practice, will be able to write you a prescription. Following that, you will take the prescription to your local pharmacy, and only then will you be given certain drugs which are not available off the counter. While we are on the subject of the GP, I also want to inform you that all of the dental practices in the UK work independently of the GP. So make sure that you also register yourself at a dental practice within your locality, so that if you have any tooth pain or aches within your teeth, you can at least get yourself checked from the dentist within your local vicinity. This is not considered as a part of the GP practice, so let me remind you again that you need to register separately for the dental practice within your locality. The fifth and the final thing for you to do before you finally settle down in the UK and get de-stressed is opening a bank account. So whenever you are expected to open a bank account in the UK, the process is very lengthy. You are asked for several documents, including your passport, your BRP, your proof of address, maybe letters from your university or your employer. Now, all of this process is to open your bank account in the main high street banks, which can be Lloyds, Barclays, NatWest, etc. However, what I recommend, and for somebody who has recently come into the UK, is to open an online bank account. Now, these online banks can be several. It could be Starling, Monzo, or even Revolt. I personally recommend opening a Starling bank account because this is what I prefer. But again, I will leave the links for these in the description box below, so do not forget to check that out. However, the reason why I recommend this is that the process to open these banks is fairly fast. And secondly, you will get your debit card within 1 to 2 weeks of opening your bank account, which is again a great thing, because then you don't need to be worried about sending your money from India into the UK using a Forex card or a Neo card. So I highly recommend opening a bank account through an online bank. Now, I hope you found this video useful, guys. And if you did, do not forget to give it a big thumbs up and drop any of your questions in the comment section below. Take care, guys. Bye.